Talk more Jacksonville State athletics now as we welcome on the athletic director for the Gamecocks, Greg Seitz. Always appreciate you taking time with me. How are you doing today?
Chase, I'm doing.
Well, great to have you on, and I know lots of great things happening at Jacksonville State, but let's start with a move to Conference USA. I know when you woke up Saturday morning, it had to feel good knowing that the Gamecocks are part of Conference USA.
Oh, I really was. I'm very excited about that. And obviously, it's been about a 18-month process for us to jump to the Conference USA. So very excited.
So for those who may not know kind of the process of how this came about, take us back to kind of how this opportunity came about for Jacksonville State to be a part of Conference USA.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we started this back in October of 2021 when Texas and Oklahoma, that news broke that they were going to the Southeastern Conference. You know, that kind of domino effect the conference. So call at the end of October 2021, and 9 days later, we're making an announcement to join Conference USA. The NCAA has a 2-year training for you to go through. So we just completed our first year of that, and so July the 1st, we began over as we second year of the.
So when when this opportunity arose for Jacksonville State to join Conference USA, what were some things that maybe were appealing to the conference that you guys have at Jacksonville State that said we want the Gamecocks to be a part of our conference?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I really like to give credit to our board really over the years that for all the facility updates that we've been able to do on our campus. Obviously, if you viewers and listeners on our campus in the last decade or so, we made a major investment in all of our facilities. And so the call from USA that obviously our success that was had over the last 10 years was a big factor in that. And then our facilities really step ahead of the other schools that we were considering. So we feel like we did a job of positioning ourselves to be attractive. We got that from an FBS conference, and as you know, one of the criteria for getting a call to be an FBS member is you have to be invited to the conference. We always going to be our biggest, but once they reached out to us, that kind of box to make the move to FBS.
You talk about facilities, of course, construction going on there at the football stadium. What's kind of the progress like right now, and everything going on with the new facility there for football?
Yeah, it's very. I think for our fans to come in for this fall, certainly see that's different from their accustomed to in the past. The old field, which did a really good job of supporting our football Division II. Sietz. It was 1977, over 40 years old, and it was just time to make that upgrade. So we're going from 19,000 square feet to 52,000 square feet in the facility. If you drive on campus today, you would look and tell that we've got a really, really nice area where our suites are going to come. You'll see that with our stadium expansion now. They've got the steel structure up for that. And then you'll see kind of the foundation going in. So that project we started in March is going to be ready by the fall of the 2024 season. So I'm very excited about that project, Chase.
Absolutely, and I know last year, kind of the seating on the far visitor side was different. What can folks expect this year when they come to games? Will they be able to sit over on that side?
Yeah, so we have opened that whole area back up the north side, which is kind of the side. We do not have the bleachers installed in that. It's that's kind of coming out of COVID. There's still supply issues, and we weren't able to get all the aluminum bleachers in on that side. And then at the end of the football season, actually that north press box or that old press box will actually be demoed. We're going to come in with some outdoor suites and additional seating on that side. So for the fans that come in on that, you're really not going to notice anything different. That area will be open. It would be, kind of more old school. You had to sit on the concrete or there, which I know is not uncommon for maybe some visits to some high schools and stuff from that aspect of it. But certainly for the fall of 24, everything will be open and ready, and as we become a full member of Conference USA from the football standpoint. Because this fall, Chase, we are not eligible for a bowl game unless there's not enough bowl eligible teams that qualify. So there's 82 bowl slots. So if we have 6 Division I wins and there's not enough teams to fill those bowl slots, we will have the opportunity to go to a bowl game this year. So they would take a 6-win Jacksonville State team over, say, like a 5-7 SEC team or something like that. So, but going into next year, there's no restrictions on us, so we'll be 100% bowl eligible if we get those 6 Division I wins. So, obviously, very excited about that opportunity to see Jacksonville State get our first ever bowl game.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Jacksonville State Athletic Director Greg Seitz, and I know I don't know if there still is, but I know there at one point there was kind of some things that in the move from FCS to FBS, you had to have whether it's capacity seating during the games, an average. Are there still things like that with being an FBS school, that kind of numbers you have to maintain?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there certainly were some requirements for us as we been through our process and our FBS application. So we got our initial FBS application submitted on June the 1st of 2022, and then we received some feedback from the NCAA in July, and they really gave us about 10 months to come in and answer a lot of those questions, and a lot of it was benchmarking, scholarships. The biggest difference, Chase, is we're going from 63 football scholarships up to 85 scholarships in football. All of our other sports have already been at the Division I level. So, this really only impacts football as we go through this process. So you may have recently saw within the last probably week or two that the NCAA is redoing, as part of the Transformation Committee, the requirements to be FBS. And one of those is, for us, it was a $5,000 entry fee. That's what was required by the NCAA. But they have just voted to change that entry fee to $5 million starting in 26-27 years. So the 3 schools who just currently have made application, we're still kind of grandfathered in under the previous one. So we got in for the $5,000 limit. But after that, that's one of the requirements will be the $5 million. And in exchange of that, Chase, is they're doing away with that attendance requirement. There used to be a 15,000 attendance requirement. Of course, that didn't impact us. We've been very fortunate and have averaged more than 15,000 for the last 13 years since we moved into the stadium in 2010. But that is one of the kind of requirements that is going away, with this new Transformation Committee's FBS requirements.
And I know one of the great perks of moving into Conference USA, moving into FBS, national televised games, and I know several on the schedule for Jacksonville State during football, and I'm sure we'll see basketball as well. But how big is that for the university to have the exposure of CBS Sports Network, ESPNU doing the games for Jacksonville State?
Yeah, it's huge when you look at it, and I think Chase, if I'm correct, I believe we have 8 nationally televised football games this year, which, for Jacksonville State that is a huge boost for us. And a lot of that is in the month of October when, we're playing on those midweek games where we have the Tuesday, Wednesday games. We're at home on the 2 Tuesday night games, and I think we're on the road the 2 Wednesday games. But when you consider that ESPN, we have 9 Conference USA games, and Jacksonville State received 5 of those games. I think that goes to the brand that Jacksonville State brings and offers. And I think obviously Coach Richrod has a lot to do with that, because from a national perspective and scale, he's got a very exciting offense, and, people want to tune in to see what we're going to do on that. And so to have the opportunity to play on national television that many times is, not only great for the athletic department, but just for the overall university and institution as well.
Absolutely. And I know kind of moving away from football, but we had the chance to visit on the show last week with Steve Beazer, the new head baseball coach. And I know Jim Case, a fantastic run with Jacksonville State. So if you could kind of speak on his career with the Gamecocks, but also kind of the excitement of moving forward with Coach Steve Beazer.
Yeah, Coach Case, I mean, obviously, when you look back at our JSU baseball history, it's pretty incredible that we've only had two head coaches since 1970. So when you look back over the last 53 years, and you had Coach Rudy Abbott, who was our coach from 1970 through the 2001 season, and then you've had Coach Case, who's been here since 2002. I mean, that just doesn't happen in 100 wins, and with Coach Abbott over 1,000 wins. We're very appreciative for what he's been able to build for us, and obviously with the new stadium. So moving into Conference USA, as this search began and processed, I knew we would get a lot of interest in the job, but I was really blown away because I did 18 Zoom interviews as we were looking for a new head coach, and so it got lots of interest and very highly qualified, top assistants at current SEC schools. Obviously, we ended up with Coach Beazer, who's a former head coach in the SEC level, and then had a very successful coaching career at Southeast Missouri State, which we were us and Jacksonville State and SEMO were battling for the championship pretty much during that whole time. But we had some great candidates, and just very excited about moving into Conference USA with Coach Beazer and what he's able to bring to the Gamecock baseball program.
When you look at the Conference USA and the teams that are a part of the conference, it's not just regionally based. There's teams really all over the place, all over the country. So how as an athletic department does the Gamecocks handle that now with maybe more travel expenses or just those type of things? How do you as an athletic director and the department handle just kind of the broad travel and kind of the bigger conference now?
Yeah, and that's a great question. But I think, when you talk about those new schools and what the new Conference USA looks like, Chase, it really opens us up from a regional institution, right, to a more national institution now, because we're going to stretch all the way from Miami, all the way to New Mexico, which is, it's outstanding, and being in the state of Texas. So from a recruiting standpoint for our university, it really opens up a lot of doors. But to your point, there is no question it's certainly going to cost us more money, to travel and operate at the FBS level. But what you got to realize as well is you're getting a lot more money by being a member of the FBS. For example, one of those is every FBS member automatically gets an extra $1 million from the college football playoff system. And that was before we expanded the college football playoffs from 4 to 12 teams. So, there'll be more opportunity for growth from there. And then another one, for example, would be like our football game guarantee money. We're fortunate enough to go to Florida State in 2021 and beat Florida State, which obviously is one of the, greatest wins in JSU football history. And we received $400,000 for that game. But this year we've got South Carolina on the books, and I believe we're getting $1.5 million for that game. So just by being able to flip that middle letter FCS to FBS, our game guarantees are certainly going up, but also our revenue, in addition, just from the college football playoffs, but also our television revenue. So like we would get, around $50,000 to $60,000 from our current TV package in the ASUN, and now our projected, we'll be getting between $700,000 and $800,000 with our new television money from Conference USA. So our revenue is significantly going to go up, but we do understand there's certainly costs involved with that.
Always good stuff, and definitely exciting times there with Jacksonville State athletics and moving into Conference USA. Athletic Director Greg Seitz joining us. Greg, really appreciate you taking a few minutes with me this afternoon, talking some Jacksonville State. We will definitely do it again soon, but thanks so much for taking time with me this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.